Oh, here he is. Okay. Dan Kelly was so lazy, they say he was the laziest farmer in Ireland. He didn't dig the potatoes because his field was full of weeds. He didn't pull up the weeds. The apples fell from the tree because he was too lazy to pick them. He forgot to feed the chickens. And then his neighbors would say, Dan, your sheep, they're in our field. Do you want us to help fix the fence? And he would say, don't worry, I'll do it another day. He was too lazy. They even said there's a pig living inside his house. What? In his house? So, they went to his house and they listened at the door. Can we hear a pig at the door? I think we can. Snoring loudly. Wait, it's not a pig, it's just Dan Kelly having an afternoon nap. Boys and girls, should we wake him up? Okay, let's get him to look after his sheep. Here we go. Dan Kelly, look after your sheep. The apples have fallen and you are asleep. You forgot to sow the seeds. Now the time is done to water we. Now in Ireland it rains a lot. And it's been raining for 3 weeks. And when Dan Kelly woke up one morning, he thought, I bet it's raining again. He got out of bed, he opened the curtains, and to his great surprise, it wasn't raining. The sun was shining, and it made him very happy. Everybody jumped for happiness. Yay! The sun is shining. I am not going to work today. I'm going to go to the festival in town because there's music and dancing. I am so happy. So Dan Kelly got dressed. Everybody pulls on the pants, puts on his shirt and his jacket. He's got his best red tie and now his cap, and off he goes, leaving his house for town. Right and right, left and left, off to town and here I go, and off to town and here I go, off to town and here I go, off to town, here I go. And he just got a little way when he suddenly saw all of his neighbors and they waved at him. Good morning. Good morning. Morning, Dan Kelly. And he laughed at them because they were busy working and he didn't have to work. They were all busy picking apples from the tree. Keep going, everybody. Reach, stretch, pick those apples. And then Dan kept walking through his field. And as he was walking, he suddenly heard a strange sound. Wait a minute, he turned around, what is that sound? No, he couldn't figure it out. So he walked on a little bit more and he heard it again. Hey, where's that coming from? Is it a cricket or? Then he heard it one more time. Ah, it seems to be coming from the bushes. So he starts going down to the ground. When suddenly, all of a sudden from behind the tree, out jumps a leprechaun! Oh my goodness! Everybody jump back in surprise. Whoa! Dan Kelly looked at and couldn't believe his luck. The leprechaun sat down and started making shoes. Oh my goodness. Dan Kelly stared. You see, if you ever see a leprechaun in Ireland, there's a pot of gold nearby. And Dan Kelly knew this was a very, very big event because I'm going to do your tie, Dan Kelly. I'm going to see if I can. Dan Kelly didn't really bother too much with looking good, so sometimes his tie fell apart. As I say, he was a lazy man, although he loved music and dancing. So there he is, staring at this leprechaun, thinking, there's a pot of gold in my field, I know it. If there's a leprechaun, I'm going to get rich. But I have to be careful, because the leprechaun has got magic powers, and it can disappear at any time. So he was just about to speak when the leprechaun spoke. Good morning, Dan Kelly. He waved at Dan. Morning. Dan couldn't believe it. He bowed. Good morning, leprechaun. And he started pointing. He said, oh, what's that you're making? Because leprechauns, oh, everybody sit down. Was that in the bushes and in the flower beds and in the trees were all of these other leprechauns and fairies making shoes. Can you watch them? Everybody making shoes. making shoes. Making shoes. Some of them are sewing. Are you sewing or hammering? Some of them are gluing. So they're sewing, they're hammering, they're gluing. Everybody is busy making shoes. The magic of the leprechauns and the fairies. And Dan is walking around thinking, wow, I'm the luckiest man alive. There's a leprechaun right here. I think I'm going to get a pot of gold if I'm lucky. And then the leprechaun says, yes, I am making a pair of shoes. And Dan points to them. They're really nice. Gold, sparkly shoes. Are they for you? The leprechaun says, no, they're not for me. These are for the Queen of the Fairies. And the best dancer in Ireland. Oh, look, here she comes down. So Dan looks over and he can't see her. Well, where is she? She's by the tree. Is she invisible? I can't even see her. Yes, there she is now. I'm making these shoes for her. And suddenly, from behind the tree, out steps a tiny little fairy, spinning and flying. Walked over to the leprechaun, and the leprechaun stood up and said, here you are, Your Majesty. I've just finished making your new shoes. So she sat down to put them on. Everybody stand up. The Queen and the leprechaun. Look, the Queen and the leprechaun danced together. Her shoes were made of gold, not leather. Big stood up with the fairy and they began to dance together, just the two of them doing stamp and clap. Stamp, 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 clap. Can I join in? But the Queen of the Fairies said, no, no you may not. Professional Irish dancers only. But the leprechaun said, oh come on, let him join. Dan, come and learn it. All right, everybody all together doing stamp and clap. Stamp, stamp. And then, see, you're amazing. But the Queen of the Fairies walked around him. And she walked around and she crossed her arms. She wasn't happy. And she was going, I don't like you, Dan Kelly. I don't like dancing in your field. It's full of rocks and stones and weeds. No wonder your potatoes don't grow. No wonder the carrots don't grow. You're a lazy farmer. And I don't like dancing here because all the weeds and stones, they hurt my feet. I'm the Queen of the Fairies. I'm used to dancing on beautiful lawns and nice parks. And he said, yeah, I'm sorry. She said, you know what? I don't like it. Okay, everybody stand up. Dan Kelly, do your work. Go. Dan Kelly, do your work. Clear the weeds because my feet hurt. Again. Dan Kelly, do your work. Clear the weeds because my feet hurt. And he said, I will, I promise. We looked at the Queen of Fairies. And he said, I'm sorry, I'll clear it up. But she said, too late, goodbye.
Oh.
She went to the leprechaun and she went up. Bye, and she went up, spinning and flying. Dan ran after her. Come back. But it was too late. And the next thing he heard behind him, the leprechaun laughing at him. Everybody, come here. I know the laugh. Dan Kelly did not being laughed at. He did not like being laughed at. He went over to the leprechaun. What are you laughing at? And never mind the weeds. What about my pot of gold? The leprechaun stood up and said, I'm just a shoemaker. I don't have gold. Yes, you do. I know you do. And then he started to argue with him because he knew the gold was here and he didn't like the leprechaun tricking him. No.
The gold I have to know. Let me go. I don't trust you, little man. I don't like you, big man.
Everybody, let's go. Where's the gold I have to know? There isn't any. Let me go. I don't trust you, little man. I don't like you, big dada. But then Dan lost his temper. He grabbed the poor little leprechaun by the sleeve. Ow! Let me go! Let me go! Let me go! Ow! Let me go! You're hurting me! Ow! I don't like that! You're hurting me! Ow! All right, if I let you go, all right, let me go, and I'll tell you where the pot of gold is. So he let him go, and he said, okay, it's over here, follow me. So he starts pointing, but then he starts walking around the pit. Where are you taking me? Says Dad. Just over here. Eventually, he points at the ground, and he says, okay, the pot of gold is under that weed there. The wild weed is waving around in the breeze. Dad looks. Really? My pot of gold is in the ground there? Oh my gosh, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be rich. And then he steps forward because he has to have a think about it. Right, so if I go home and get my shovel, then I can dig up the weed. But if I come back, this weed looks like all the other weeds. So how can I tell it apart? He has a great idea. He takes off his red tie and he puts it around the weed so he knows that's the weed I'm coming back to. And then he says to the leprechaun,
Promise you will not touch that top. Promise I promise the Lord will.
let everybody go. And Dan Kelly as well. Promise you will not touch that tie. I promise, no word of a lie. So Dan Kelly runs home. Everybody stand still. Everybody stand still. And as he's running home, he's looking. Okay, he's in his living room, but he can't find his shovel. Right, where did I leave it? Where did I leave it? Is it under the table, Dan? It's not there. Is it up on the shelf? It's not there. Look behind the couch. It's not there. Okay, go look in the bedroom. He can't find his shovel. He needs his shovel. He needs to get back very quickly because he knows what leprechauns are like. The leprechaun could be tricking him at any point. But the leprechaun says to the little weed, hey, wild weed, let's dance a jig. And they start hitting their knees together. Found his shovel. Here we go. Right to right, left to left. Gonna be rich. Pot of gold. Gonna be rich. Pot of gold. Gonna be rich. Pot of gold. Wait. He gets back to the field and he has a terrible shock. Everybody come back. Oh my goodness. What's happened? I'm looking for one weed with a red tie. And now I can see 100 weeds with red ties. How did that happen? The leprechaun tricked me. Dan Kelly is looking all around. Where's the leprechaun? Where did he go? He's disappeared. He tricked me. Oh, he drops his shovel. It's not fair. Now I'll never get my pot of gold. Oh, no. And then he stomped home. Not fair, not fair, not fair, not fair, not fair. Dan Kelly would never change. He would always be greedy, he would always be lazy. He would never get any pot of gold. And his luck would never change because he never night of the silvery moon, guess who came back to the field? The leprechaun and the Queen of the Fairies. And he said, come on, Queen of the Fairies, we're going to dance to the bright moonlight all together. She said, what do you mean all together? You mean both together? There's only two of us. He said, no, all of us. And he starts pointing to the weeds with their red ties. And she said, oh, no, I don't dance with weeds. No, I am Queen of the Fairies. He said, I cast a spell on them. They are now expert Irish dancers. They're as good as you. She didn't really believe it until she saw them dance, and they were all amazing. Everybody stopped and clapped. Stop, 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 stop. Hop,